What's up, brick builders? And today's build is the mini backhoe loader, set number 42004. The year this came out was 2012, so this is quite an old kit. Age 8 plus, couple of fiddly bits, but it's not too bad, not too difficult build. Your number of parts is 246, so you've got quite a few pins and little components. Price per piece is 7 pence, which is pretty good. Cost when it came out was £17.99, so £18. But brand new, if you had one, still box sealed, unopened, in good condition, mint condition, you're looking at £63. Not bad for a Technic investment, to be honest. It's a pretty decent investment. And then you've got the used value. You're looking at about £13 to £16. So used, it's not an overly great investment, but if you've still got one sealed, you've got a pretty decent one there. Something very rare in Technics, to be honest. And welcome back. It's Sean from BRIT'N Bricks. We got next set. It's going to be a little bit more of an instructional video, this one. We're going to be using online manual. You'll see why in a few minutes. We've got these parts here. So this is a 2-in-1. Put these on the table there. Basically, you can make various different models out of this. But the two you get with instructions are for a tele forklift, or kind of a forklift, and also the backhoe. So I'll put the wheels down the side there. That's it. And so we got some instructions up as well for you guys to follow along as well. This will be an instructional video, so I'll be saying all about the parts and stuff like that, trying to help anybody who's trying to learn how to do Lego Technic or build Lego in general, or just want to know how to build this, what parts you need and stuff like that. Alright, there you go. You can see the instructions in the top left hand side there. You'll be following those along with me. Got some little diagrams here on basically keep a little bit of space between the parts so that they do have a bit of movement. As you can see, if you push them together too much, you're going to kind of stop the effect, or you could possibly even damage the parts, like the teeth on the gears, for instance, and stuff like that. So we're starting off with an 11 long black Technic beam. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Should be 11 holes. That's why it's got 11 in the box there. So there should be 11 holes in your black beam. And we're looking for 2 blue pins, long blue pins, but there's got short end on one side and a long side and a long end on the other side. The long end usually goes through a bar into another bar, so it holds 2 pieces together. Short end will go in, and probably then it will hold 2 pieces together off that other bar. So you'll be looking at 3 pieces holding together. Pretty good parts actually. So here's our pins, here's our bar. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's our bar. There's our pin, short and long, and they're going to go in short ways. As you can see in the diagram there, they are sticking out longer. So they're going to go in short ways. Got a space between, so it matches that diagram there. This little diagram here showing the 11 long bar would be to scale. If you had your instruction manual, you could just lay the bar that you have in your hand, if you're not too sure, lay it on the hand. I'll show you in a actual manual. So here is your manual, and it will be to scale. You take your bar and you just put it down on the side next to it or on top of it, and it should match. And that's how those little comparison screens work, or little comparison windows work. So moving on, we have stage 2 is the grey piece there. It's a straight connector with 2 pins on either side with a hole in the middle. Usually that hole is frictionless, so it will hold and it will have freedom of movement, and that's going to go in next to those blue pins there. So when I say freedom of movement, you drop a pin in and it should, oh, that's this friction, that's a friction one, so it will allow a bar to drop through, or yeah, an axle, attach pins. And the next thing is a turntable. The turntable is already assembled. There we go. And the turntable is going to go, as you can see on the picture there, the black parts, black and grey, they are very similar, except for one's running inside the other. So the black is going to be on top, so the grey is going to attach to these blue pins here. And that's why those blue pins were in short ways. And then you've got axle length right here. 3 axle is the shortest grey axle. I do believe they do no, that's a black. Black can be a 2 axle or a 2 long axle, or a red. So how you would compare or check, you'd have a plate like this with studs, and you take your axle and you put it in between the studs or along the side studs, and you count how many studs there are in that axle. So this is 1, 2, 3. So that is a 3 axle. And that's how you work out how long your axles are. So in this case, we want a 3 axle. We want a connector block with two axle holes, and the axle holes are the crosses. And they're going to hold that, and that's going to go in the middle. And then we've got a 5 axle, which is a slightly longer axle. There's our 5 axle. It's going to go in the other side like that. So this part is going to fit with the 5 axle close to the grey piece there, and it's going to fit in there like that. Then we've got another one to put together. I'll find my part. Here it is. Again, same piece, double connector with 2 axle holes. 3 axle again on one side, and a 7 axle this time, so slightly a longer axle. And at the other side, and then looking at the instructions, you can see that the longer one is next to the 3 axle there of the other part, and the 3 axle on the end of this is the last one. So this is going to fit side by side like that, and that's what you've got. Then we go close it off. Basically, we're going to be securing everything in place with another Technic 11 beam. And you could get some resistance because there's about 3 pins to line up. So the grey one and the 2 blue ones. Just gotta really just give it a bit of a wiggle around, and eventually it will go like that. And there you go. It's a nice little closed off unit. No parts are going to be falling off. And then we've got stage 6, we got 2 more blue beams, blue pins, and they are going in short ways, and they are going in just after that 5 axle there. Another short end in like that, and then we've got a 4 long axle with a flat piece on the end of it, as you can see there, a stopper. So it'll be a dark bluish grey 4 long axle, and that's what it looks like. And there's your stopper there, and it's going to go into a black connector with a circular hole and a triangular hole. It's going to go in the circular way so that it's going to have a bit of movement. It can also go into the triangular, the cross hole, and there's no movement. But we're going to have movement on this, so we're putting it in there. And this is basically, these are going to be the axles for the backhoe. So that 7 axle is going to hold that in place like so, and it can't fall through because it's against the beam. So rinse and repeat on the other side. So we want another 2-piece, and we want another 4 axle. Turn it around, put it on the other side of the 7 axle like that. There you go. Now we've got another 4 axle with a stopper, and it's going to come in under that grey connector that I was telling you about earlier on, that can have axles through there or pins, and it's going to secure a gear on top, light tan gear, like so, and that's going to now start to turn the turntable. Next is what I call moon gears. I don't know why. I mean, they're like puffy gears, little black puffy gears. And there we want another 4 axle with a stopper, and that's going in next to it. And then the moon gear. So all these nicknames, and now you've got all 3 moving. Very cool. That makes it turn faster. That gives a bit more slow movement. That's what the gears do. So the next thing we got is the 2 yellow connectors that are going to go on the end of the 5 axle here. And they're just going to go on like so, with the hole facing up. Try not to drop your part. Yeah. As you can see, I can't hold it anything. Right, there we go. Like so. Drop them down. Right, so we put this part aside for now. We're going for 9. So remember to count your holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is not it. So we want one that's got 2 more holes longer. That's a 7 as well. This could be our 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. 3 blue pins. All 3 are going in short end first. We got a gap. So there's a gap there. And then the other one's going on the other end. Like so. Then we've got a short grey pin, and that usually moves. And that's the short grey pin there. Long ways in first, and it's coming in from the back, like so. Acts as a stud, and it does have movement. And then we got 2 black pins. We got one that's going in between the 2 blue, coming in from the back again, and then we've got a space, and then another black, like so. Now we're going to be putting some arch pieces on. We'll put the arch pieces together first. So we got 3 axles, so it's the shortest axles, shortest grey axles. One in the top there, one in the bottom there. Then we're just going to overlay the black one on top, like that. Kind of give it a little bit of style, as it were, and reinforce the strength. Then we've got a blue pin, long pin is going to go in next to the axle hole there, and then we've got a black connector with the hole and the cross, and that's going to be hanging down, as you can see right here, because then that blue pin is going to go in that hole there. All that's going to be holding it in place is the blue pin. Not there, there. And it's going to rest on top of that bar there, like so. And we're going to add to this, we are going to be a 5-axle. The 5-axle is going in here with a black connector, so we want the black connector first, and we'll drop that in. The only way it can go is a circle, and it's hang down, and then the 5-axle can drop in there like so. I think that's a 5-axle. They look longer and longer. No, that's the 5-axle right there. So that's going to go in all the way into that hole, and that now has locked down that arch. It's going to go halfway through by the looks of things, because that's what the image is showing us. So these two are going to hold something. Next part is a screw mechanism by the looks of things. We've got a little corkscrew piece here in stage 2 of that. So first of all, we want an 8 long dark bluish grey with a stopper. Another one of those light grey connectors with the 2 pins on the end. If I can find it, there it is. It's going to go straight down the middle. Then we got the screws going to go on top of that. Doesn't matter which way it goes. And it is actually going to sit in there like so, and then double connector with the 2 cross holes or axle holes on top like that. So there we got this image here. Moving down, we got 2 yellow bushings, old Technic parts that were way back in the first bunch of Technic stuff, I believe. It's all yellow, and then you got that image there. Then we're going to be putting a smooth sleeve over the top. There's a black smooth sleeve. That's not a smooth one. Where's our black smooth sleeve? There it is. There's a little slit in the middle of it. And then we're going to cap that off with a looks like cross shape type connector as opposed to a smooth, and that's going to be the control. There's probably going to be another extension bar on top with a moon gear on top, just to give you a little bit of grip so you can move this. And stage 5, right, so we're attaching this to these parts here. So that's going to go onto the axle, and this pin is going to go into this hole here. Push them home. Jobs are good and secure. And then we're going to attach this to the other part. Make sure we get this right. These blue pins are going to go into the top of that turntable, like so. Now that's going to control that. Next we want 9. Oh yeah, so we're going to close off this area here. So we want 9 long yellow. I got 4 pins to line up now. It's a little bit tricky. Just give it a bit of a wiggle, push, not too hard, and it will find its way home. And then we're going to finish it off with another one of those grey short pins, long ways in, so that just that stud's hanging out. And then we've got a 7 long axle with a very small dark bluish grey gear. 7 long axle, and I want my dark bluish grey gear, and it looks like it's going to go into the middle of the bar, as you can see in that picture above. And then that's going to go just below this 3 axle here, and it's going to connect to that screw. So if it doesn't go, just slightly turn the screw, and there you go. And now it should move that around as well. Nice. And then we're going to close off this section here with the reverse order of these arched pieces. So the black piece in first. You got a few pieces to line up, but they're axles, so they're very easy. Like that. And then close it off with the yellow. And you get that nice smooth shape there. Everything's all lined up, looking good. Next one, what we want is 7 long. So these are L shapes. I call them long because they are the longer ones. There are shorter ones. So there's your 7 long. We got any shorter ones in this set? Yes, we do. And this is your shorter one. As you can see the difference right there. It's shorter on the end, on each end basically. Both L shapes, but I call them short long and big long. It just helps me with remembering what parts I'm looking for. You can always call them whatever you want to call them, but that's kind of my nickname for them. So we got the 4 long axle with a stopper going through, plus a longer bushing. Light grey bushing is going to go in there to stop that from falling through. Then we got 2 black pins, 1 in the top there, and then we got two hole space, and on the end there. And then this is going to fit right here. So you got a hole here, you got your blue pin here. You look at your instructions, you can see the blue pin right there. You can see it's obviously next to it, so that's going to drop there like so. And this looks like another axle to me. It looks like it's going to be another axle for wheels. Another yellow long, so we're doing another axle. Have it down the way it is, push the axle through, the bushing is going to seal it off like so, and turn it around, turn your model around. You can see here the direction, that's like rotation, so that means basically turn your model around. Again, it's going to be before that or after that blue pin. Just push them home, get some pins that are, or axles that are poking out a little bit, just level them up a little bit, smooth them out, and there you go. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 axles. Right, so a longer connector. It's a bit similar to this. You have your axle at the top, you have your hole, but this one's a longer one, so you got 2 holes at the bottom. See that there? And we're just going to have these hanging down off a 3 axle that's going through here. So we've got 3 axle. It's going to go through top there. get that relatively level. It doesn't matter until you've got all your parts pieces put in there, and then that's going to hang down like so. Get the other one. Where's the other one? Yeah. And pop that in there. Just level up your axles, smooth it out a bit. There we go. Next part is another one of these grey connectors here, plus the two black connectors there with the hole in the cross. It looks like you've got to rotate this part here, it's saying, and there's got to be when you put a piece on, when you put these pieces on, you've got to level them out, as you can see in this diagram here. So what we'll do is we'll put those together first and see what it means. So we got our short connector going that way, and then you can see from the diagram that it's going on this axle here, the 7 long axle. Okay, with the stud facing inwards. Take the other one, light grey, stud facing inwards. Now when you pop this on, they do look like they're going to be a little bit off. Try and get them the same. Like that. Because then, with that piece that we were talking about earlier on, you can see it's slightly sloped up. And it's saying here, twist this part here to level it out. So we go twist it just to level it out. As you can see, now it's straight. And now we've got what looks like a yellow coat hanger. You can see that here. This looks like a coat hanger. I call it a coat hanger with shoulders because there are other versions of this that are just a straight line, as opposed to these parts here hanging out that look a bit like shoulders. We got a pin, 2 pins here, the black pin with a collar on the end. As you can see, it's got a collar on there. Usually an axle will go into the end there and it will extend it. It's quite a handy little pin. Also, sometimes you push them halfway in, then you put something in there, then you push them all the way through and it locks everything together. It's a really, really handy piece. And we got 2 red axles as well, as you can see there. Those are the 2 axles. Like I say, you can get these in black as well. Very, very short. And these are going to hold the 2 coat hangers together. So we're going to find the coat hangers with the shoulders. There's your shoulders. And pop a pin there. And then I'm going to put the second coat hanger in there. Like so. And then just got to drop the other red pin in there. I only left one in there so it would keep it in place, so it was easier to put the other coat hanger on instead of lining up 2. And then we're going to cap these off with the 2 pins with the collars, like so. Then it's saying turn your item over, so you turn it that way. And then we're going to drop it down into these 2 yellow connectors here, and the coat hanger is facing that way. So if I have the model facing the way that the instructions are, just to make it a bit easier, the top of the coat hanger is going towards, we're going to call it the back of the backhoe. And then you got to try and get those 2 pins plus the axle with the gear lined up, and this axle here. Axles aren't too difficult, it's the pins. So just give them a little bit of a gentle wiggle. Diagram shows that we push them all the way through because you've got the pins hanging out the bottom here. So we're going to push them all the way through and the pins are hanging out the bottom. Next we want a 5 black, so 5 holes. Again, not too sure. Just count your count the holes on your your beams or bricks. It works with studs as well, like the plates here. Usually when we say 2x6 or something like that, this is a 2x8. So 2x8, it's 2 studs across and then 8 studs along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2x8. And it's a plate. It's a Technic plate because it's got holes in it. It's not really that much different to a normal 2x8 plate. And this is going to go, so we want one of these. This is going to go across on those 2 black pins that we just pushed through. So it's going to go across, and that's actually going to secure in place the axle with the stopper that has the main gear on it. That's going to stop that falling out. As you can see, this one's still trying to fall out. It can come out. You can quite easily push out. So we go secure that in place. So we want a 4-axle and 2 long connectors. So we're going to be extending this part here now, and this is going to hold that pin in place. So we want a straight black connector on top, and then we're going to extend that with a black 4-axle, and then we're going to drop another one of those connectors on top like so, and there you go. And this will now control what looks like the head, and this controls what looks like could be the elevation of the bucket. Next is a yellow long, 1 blue pin. So we've got a yellow long. Have it facing the way the diagram is, so it's going to be L shape as opposed to, what could we call that? A chaise long? A bed? Anyway, it's instead of a 7, it's not a 7, it's an L. And we got a blue pin going in, but as you can see in the picture, it's not pushed all the way in. It's going in long ways, but it's not pushed all the way in. So basically, put your finger behind it just to stop the pin going all the way through. I mean, if it goes through, it goes through, but you just push it back. So it looks like that. And then we got 2 black pins going on either end of the L, bottom of the L. So we're going to put those in place. So there's one there and one there, like that. And that's how it should look on your image. And then this is going to locate what looks like, it's going to locate here. It looks like it's on the black beam. It's after the blue pin here. See that on the instructions there. So we're going to pop that in there like so. And then we got another, we were mirror imaging. So let's get another long yellow, blue pin. Again, check your diagram, see what it is. It's an L, not a 7, not a bed, not a gun. I'm going to call that a gun. It is an L. So the blue pin is coming in from this side, and again, not all the way through. So put your finger through it just to stop it, and 2 black pins on either side. So exactly the same as the last one. Put that in there, that in there, and that is going to go on the black beam again. Push it through. These are just poised, waiting to lock something in place. That's what's going to happen with those. Right, so we want 7 long and 2 blue pins. So 7 long. We did have those earlier. Here we go. 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Again, if you're not too sure, get your instruction manual, lay it on top, lay it beside, and you'll know if you've got the right piece. But from here, we've got 2 blue pins going in, and it's 2 space hole. As you can see here, you've got 2 holes and then 2 pins. So 1, 2. You could put your finger, you could put your finger over the 2 holes, so you know the next hole is going to be your your pin location. That's kind of what I do. And they're going in short ways in. Like that. I don't need to have the finger there anymore because that's going to go next to it. So it's like that. There you go. So yeah, cover your, count the gaps, put your fingers over or your thumb, and then it'll be the next part after that. Next is 2 slim 1-hole plates. I'm going to say 1 hole because they got a hole, and then it's axle on either side. So it's a 1-hole plate. You get 2-hole, 5-hole. I think there's even 7-hole plates in Technic. But we're going to be taking this, and we're going to take the 2 long red axle, and it's going to sit through like that. Then we're going to get a blue short, so blue short, and it's going to be L shape again, and that's going to come in from behind like that. And then you're going to cap the other side off with another 1-hole plate like that. So it looks like that. There's probably a seat, I would think, and this is going to fit. Take your blue your yellow 7 beam. Make sure you got it the right way around, because you could have it this way and you got 3 holes there, and the instructions here show 2 holes. So turn it over, make sure your L shape is going facing the right way, lock them onto the blue pins, push them all the way through. As you can see, the pins you can see on the other side, so push it all the way through. My guess is it's going to be a seat. Then we got a steering wheel. Hey, what's up, DJ? So we got these 1-hole connectors, and we got a blue pin with an axle. And you can see the axle there, and you got a pin on the other side. So these are going to go into the axle holes like that. It's going to stick out, and then we got the steering wheel is going to just pin on there, but we've got a grey short pin long ways in, so the stud's facing out like that first, and then we get the steering wheel, and we can pop that on, and the steering wheel will actually turn. See that? That's what that pin does. Non-friction, so it has a lot of movement. It's a really handy little pin. Then this is going to fit at the end like that. So you got a little seating area console. We're going to close it off with another yellow 7 like that, and there you go. You got your little control area. And then we're going to attach this to the model, and it looks like these blue pins are going to lock it in place here. You can see 1 hole there, and then the pin. It's showing you to push both pins into the second hole. So just push them, give it a little bit of a wiggle. It will find its way. There you go, that's 1 little wiggle, and there you go. And now that is safely locked in place, and now we can definitely tell that this is the front, this is the rear. We got control. This is going to be the hand of God control, and this is going to be the bucket pitch control. Make sure that I've got the mic on. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I got the mic on. It's not the first time I've done a video with no mic. Okay, so this is going to be asking for black 11s. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is our part, and we're looking for 1 and 2, so we need 2 pieces by the looks of things. Or is it stage? It's stage 1 and 2, right? Okay, so we want the black pin with the collar on the end, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. So count your 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put your thumb over the last or the 4th hole. Drop your pin through in the 5th. Then there's a blue pin with the axle. It's going to go into that, like that. Then stage 2 is a black pin at the very top, like that. Then this is going to attach. Make sure you got your curved front end pointing the right way. And this is going to, it looks like it's going to lock in this piece here. So it's going to go on that blue pin there, and it's going to go into this piece just behind the seat. So pops that in there like so, and now that is locked in solid. And then we've got a straight connector with a hole with a cross shape, and 2 blue pins with axles, so they're going to go in either side like that. And then this is going to go across the beam that you just put in. So have that facing the same way as your instructions. The hole is facing up because there's going to be another axle going through here and here. So if you had it the other way, that axle would not drop. If you put it in the wrong way like that, just turn it, and there you go. And you should have that lined up. Next thing is we're putting the Hand of God axle in. So we got 4 black axle, and then we've got the moon gear on top, and then we've got a long light grey bushing is going to go underneath, so it looks like that. And then this is just going to drop through that part that you just put on. If it doesn't line up, just twist it around a little bit, it will drop in place, and then just push it in, and there's your Hand of God. So that's that done. So we want another black. So we're closing off this side like we did here. So the 11 black right there, have it facing up, 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, cover the 4th hole, drop the pin with the collar through, and then the blue pin with axle on the end is going to go into that collar, and then you got a black pin at the top. So you've got the black pin like so, and then you're going to pop that onto that blue pin down at the bottom there, and then line up that blue pin, and then this black pin's going into that yellow bar where the console was. Give it a little bit of a wiggle. It is resistant. Just give it a little bit of a wiggle. You don't have to be too hard with it. You see, the only thing with Technic is that you do have to have a little bit of patience on trying to get things locked in place. But once it's in, it's in. Technic is also a little bit painful to pull apart if you're a first timer as well. And so we got the 3-hole light grey connectors, and you can see they're going in on either side of the axle here. So push that one in. That little axle's just pointing out a little bit, so I'm going to push that in a little to smarten it out. And again, pop it in there, and there you go. So the next part looks a bit tricky. 2-hole plate. So we got our 2 holes. We want 2 of those, so 2 2-hole plates. There you go. It's 2 2-hole plates. Put that one aside. A 2-long axle, red. Pop that in. It sits flush. That goes on top of it, like so. Have it facing the way your diagram is. So it's like that, and we're going to be dropping a black pin in here and a 7 long axle in there. So I think that's a 5. I'm just going to double check, make sure. So this is an 8. That is indeed a 7. So that's going to go in the axle hole. Push it flush. Put your finger behind it until you start to feel the pin come through, or the axle come through, and then black pin's going to go right next to that, and it should look like your diagram right there. Next part, stage 3, is you've got black 3 long Technic beam. It's going to go through the middle hole, and then the black pin's going to go into one side of it. Give it a bit of a wiggle because of the black pin, and you should have that piece overlapping like that, because there's going to be another black pin coming in. And then we've got the double connector with the hole and the axle. It's going to go axle wise, and it's going to be like that. So we've still got that hole there, as you can see in that diagram there. There's a hole there, there's a hole there. That's kind of overlapping a little bit, as you can see that is. So we're going to put the black pin in here next, in from behind like so. And then we've got what I call fire hydrants. I call these little fire hydrants. They do look like fire hydrants in my head, but I call them fire hydrants. That's my little nickname for them. So you get fire hydrant, and you can see it's pointing that way, just like that diagram is there. And then we're going to put a long bushing on top of it like that. And then this is going to have another fire hydrant on top of that bushing. So we need the other grey fire hydrant. Where is it? There it is. Again, facing the same way as the other one, facing out. And then the next stage, stage 6, is we're going to put 2 blue pins with the axles on in the end of the fire hydrants. So there's one there and one there. So it looks like that. That's your little diagram there. And then this is going to fit on top. So the easy way to locate this is that gap between these 2 blocks here. That's where this black pin is going to go, and that's this black pin here, like that. Easy peasy. And next we're going to be building a beam that's going across on the back end of it. So we want 2 pins with collars. So there's one, a 3 long axle that's going to go in the back, and then we want another pin with collar right there, and that's going to form the beam. Then that's going to go into the back of this block here. Push it all the way through. As you can see, the pin is on the other side of the block there, visible, so push it all the way through. And then the next, we're building the other side of this here. So again, 2 hole plate, yellow, red pin, that red axle. That is a different plate altogether. You can see that there are no cross sections or cross connectors or cross holes on here. So that is not the correct plate. This is. Put that over the top of the red axle. Put your thumb behind the red axle just to stop it from pushing through. If it does, just poke it through a little bit. Here's a little tip for you. If it is hanging through and it's a little bit tough for you, just put it on your table or something hard and push it down all the way until it's flush, and there you go. So in the diagram, it's facing this way this time. A push pin through the other side there like that, so it actually looks like the diagram. Black connector with the cross section is going to go on the pin like that. We've got a black pin coming in on this first hole here, leaving that gap there, which is going to connect to that black pin there. And then we've got the 3 long connector, black, going on at end of that pin, and then on the back of that is going to be another black pin like that. And then we should have something that looks like this part down here, stage 3 of 32, and then that's going to locate, you're going to be lining up the axle and the 2 pins. So the axle is going to go through there and locate into this axle hole here. This pin on the bar is the next, and then just push it all and it should go together like that. Okay, that's formed the roof of the backhoe. The next part is we're doing the window bars. So 2 6 long axles, so there's your 2 6 long axles. Rigid fire hydrants, I think they're called these rigid fire hydrants, but don't know what they're really called. T-bar connectors, something like that. We've got 2 of those, so we've got 2 of those. These are going to sit on top. Doesn't matter which way at this moment in time. But now you go look at your diagram down here, and it does matter. So you've got the hole facing towards you, the bar's going down, you're going to have this yellow connector, and as you can see, the hole is facing towards you. It's not this way, it's this way. Push your thumb, put your thumb underneath, push it through just a little bit until that axle gets to your thumb. And that's it. So you got the hole facing you that way there. As you can see, hole facing you, hole facing you. And then this is going to go into that pin there and this pin, blue pin down here, to form the window frame. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Hole facing you, hole facing you. Doesn't matter which way, on the left hand or right hand side, because you can just turn it around. Yeah. So black pin at the top there, black connector, yellow connector is going to go on the blue pin. Push them home, you've got your window frame. Nice. So next thing we're doing is the headlights at the top, or the working lights at the top. We need a black 5 connector, and we've got these were rather old pieces that came out in space and stuff like that. The really cool, well used 1x1 studs. I think these are used in, or the tiles, 1x1 tiles are used in like the world map and stuff like that. Absolutely crazy. But this, you reverse it, the stud end is going to go into the hole and holds it in place like that. So one on either end, and then this is going to be located on these 2 blue pins here, just to cover those over, finish that off, and there you go, you've got your working lights. Next part looks like the bucket mechanism. This looks a little bit complicated, but it shouldn't be too bad. So we do want the 8 long axle with the stopper on the end, and then we want that two hole long connectors, and it's going to go in the middle. We'll call that the middle of the block, all the way down to the bottom. Then it looks like we're dropping a screw, so we'll get a screw, drop that down, and then we're going to cap that off with another one of these blocks. Same way. It doesn't matter how it's mounted until, or you put it together until you start to mount it and make sure that they all face the right way. don't be too worried about that if it moves around. Then we got to get a short L shape, a 3 long axle. So we've got a 3 long axle here, the short long L shape. Make sure the L shape is facing the right way. Put your axle in this way, like that. So from the top, and a blue long pin, short ways in, holding out like that. So you've got that kind of image there. Then this is going to go into these two here. So axle's going to go into the top one, not the bottom one. Nothing's going to be locking in the bottom one at the moment, so that's still a little bit of a free agent at the moment. Nothing's stopping the this axle with a stopper dropping through either, so just be aware of that. And then we're going to be capping that off and stopping that axle coming off with long grey bushing. Pop that on the top. Now your axle's not going to drop anywhere. That's safe. Going to cap that off with a black straight connector. You can push the axle through. So put your thumb underneath the axle where the stopper is. Push both parts down like so, and that one should be there. That bushing is what's stopping the whole axle dropping. And then this is going to have a gear attached to it. So what we're going to do is we want a 4 long axle, another dark bluish grey gear. There it is. It's going to be, looks like in the middle, as you can see from the diagram here, in the gear. You're going to drop that into the top hole. Like I say, as you can see, it's not dropping in place. So give the little one a twist. Then drop that. Don't work. A little bit more of a twist, and it's already dropped in on its own. Perfect. And then we're going to put a yellow 11. It's the longest beam that I have. It's going to go on the end of the blue pin, like so. We also have an axle that's going here. I totally missed that. 3 axle. And that's holding that in place, like so. And then we're just going to cap that off with a yellow short L shape. So that way there. End of the L is going to go on the blue pin. The elbow of the L is going to have the grey axle through, and then the other axle is going to go through the top of the L, like so. And there you go. And this should lower or move that little cog there, or little gear, which it does, which is awesome. Next part is an arm that's going from this mechanism. So we got the 2-hole plate again with the axle holes on either side. A 4 axle is going to go on one end of this plate. Then we've got a 3-hole grey Technic beam, and that's just going to go there. That's going to be a bit of a free agent. Locking that in place with a long light grey bushing. Keep your thumb underneath the axle. Just push the bushing through, because then it will stop the axle from moving through. Because if you don't do that, this is what could end up happening. I'll show you if I can simulate it. So basically, you've got it all nicely lined up. You don't put your thumb underneath it. You push your bushing through, and sometimes it will move the axle through. This time it didn't move it through too much, but it does help to put your thumb behind it. Then this is going to be that way, as you can see on this diagram here and this diagram here. And then this axle hole is going to be joining that 4 axle that has that gear on it, this 4 axle here. So we're going to put that in place. It doesn't matter if it's not straight yet, as you can see. This one is not, but the idea of this is you can move it until it is. As you can see in the diagram, that is exactly what it's asked you to do. And then you've got a light tan long pin, and it's going to go long ways in, and it's going to go into second hole from the L shape. As you can see in the diagram here, there's your L shape, there's your 2 holes, and you can see this pin is going into the third hole. So 1, 2, long ways in. It's going to go into the yellow beam first, and then it's going to go into the grey Technic. And now this is going to lift the arm. That's what this is going to do. See that? That's pretty rapid movement. That's pretty cool. And that's the backhoe arm. Next, we're going to cap that off with another one of those 3 long grey Technic plates. Push it home on the pin. Then we're going to cap this piece off with another 2-hole plate. There it is. It's going to go across there on both axle holes. Push the axles through just a little bit, just to give it a nice little smooth edge. And then we want a yellow 9. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. And a 4-axle with a stopper. 4-axle with a stopper. So this is going to go into the third hole. So we got 1, 2, and then 3, as you can see. So drop that in there, mark that. Then this is going to go on the last hole of the 9 long beam. Put your thumb behind the stopper just to stop it from dropping out of place. And then we're going to do is what looks like a crank handle. So I call these crank handles. So here's your crank handle here. You can see it's an old style car crank handle that you would find. The pin is going into the bar. As you can see here, you can see the longer part is going back into the bar, and this is going to be on the axle side. So put that on the axle first. Again, doesn't matter if it's straight or not yet because you've got movement. And then line it up with the hole on the arm, keeping your thumb behind on the stopper, otherwise you're going to push your axle through like I was explaining earlier. Give it a little bit of a wiggle, push it through, and you're good. You don't have to hold the stopper anymore. Okay, so now it's asking you to bend the arm, so like that, and then this down like so. Then this is going to have what looks like a black pin with collar right on the end here, and I think that's going to act as a stopper for this arm. That's what I think it's going to do. Then you've got a moon gear that's going on the end of this, so we've got a moon gear. So that's probably going to control the bucket. This is my guess is it's going to be controlling the bucket. And next stage is the bucket, right? So we want 3-axle, and then we want this connector, this universal joint connector is like that piece there. So your 3-axle is going to go in the back end of it. Then you're going to get E.T.'s head. Now I call this E.T.'s head because it does remind me of E.T.'s head. It's like an extraterrestrial film back in the 80s. And it looks like his head because it's all long ways. It's upside down like so. As you can see in the image, that's like facing that way. If you've got to pay attention to the way this connector is facing. So you've got the little divot. There's a little divot there on the side. It's not on the thinner side, it's on the thicker side. So ET head upside down, and your thicker side, the little divot is going to be facing you. The thinner side is on top. Okay, just pay attention to that, because that way the bucket's not going to fit. But you're going to figure that out eventually. So there's going to be 2 black pins. One's coming in from this side, one's coming in from this side. So we got one from the back here, one from the front, as you can see. Then we're going to attach the bucket. The bucket is going to have the teeth at the top, not at the bottom. Okay, so teeth at the top. And this is on what is called, well, it's on like I think it's a 12 tooth connector. So you can actually just adjust the angle of the bucket and it stays in place, which is really cool. Right, so we're going to attach this to the arm. This is going to go black pin on the very end of the bar, like so. So it looks like that in the diagram right here. And then we're going to scoop the bucket back, and then we're going to attach the yellow 9 on the black pin there with the collar, and onto the other black pin here on ET's head. So you've got that, and as soon as you do this, you've got some really cool, actually really cool controlled bucket movement there. That's really cool. It's very smooth, very smooth. And I'm going to turn it around. We're going to be dropping a black pin in the back here on the bottom, and we're going to be dropping a blue pin with an axle on the top, and then we're going to drop ET's head on top of that axle. So black pin on the bottom, like that. So as you can see, it's there. So this blue pin next, with the axle facing up, so it's going to be pin in the hole, axle facing up, ET's head, put it sideways, like that. And then this is going to attach to, so this black pin is going to go into this only hole here, the last hole that's left, and that's going to go into there like that. And there you go. Now you're starting to see the backhoe coming into shape. So the next thing we want is a 9 long axle. We've got a 9 long axle. We got the grey bushing, and it's going to be like quarter into the bar, and then it's going to go, by the looks of it, it's going to go through. Okay, so it's going to go through this yellow bar here and ET's head that's sideways. So it's just going to drop straight through like so. And then you're going to close that off with another grey bushing on the side. Keep your finger on the axle, because this is definitely going to push it through and you're not going to be able to lock it in place. So keep your finger, thumb on the axle, push it through. If it's not like level, just level it out a little bit like that. And the next part is, oh, the back side of the window frame. So we did the front side of the window frame here. We're going to be doing the back side now. Okay, so we want 2 6 long axles. So there's 1 and 2. We want the black periscope. That's going to go on top of the axles, like so. Again, hole facing towards you. Get your yellow connector, axle. Put your thumb underneath the connector. Push the axle through. As soon as the axle touches your thumb, you can stop. Hole facing you. Hole facing you. Doesn't matter which way you've got it, left or right, because as soon as you put it on the model, it will line it up. And in this case, it's going to be like this. and that is going to sit on the axle there, like that. I go the wrong way around, but it doesn't matter. So there, we need the connector, hole facing you, hole facing you. Thumb underneath the connector, push the axle through. As soon as it touches your thumb, stop. Locate this black periscope onto that black pin there, and then this yellow connector. Actually, I pushed that in a bit too far. The grey axle goes in first in this case because it's a bit longer, and then push it onto the black pin, and you've got your rear window frame done. Next is what looks like some mudguard type thing. Got a V shape, 3 by 3. So 1, 2, 3. The third hole is the middle. 1, 2, 3. Both axles on either side. This way, they're going to be putting the axle part is going to go onto this grey axle here, and the blue pin's going to match up in the second hole. So let's pop that in place. Now this axle does rotate, so just line it up, push the blue pin home. And you wouldn't have to do that on the next side because now that axle is locked in place. So put another one, V shape, make sure you got your V shape, line axle, blue pin, push it home. Looks like mudguards to me because it's right up above the axle. Next, looks a bit fiddly. We've got a yellow 5, we've got a long L shape, big L shape, and 3 black pins. Okay, so the L shape is going to be like the bed. So your headboard, your bed. 2 black pins, 1 in the corner, 1 next to it, and 1 at the very foot of the bed, like so. So it looks like that. Then we've got a 1, 2, 3, a 5-hole plate. 5-hole plate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going to connect onto these black 2 pins here, and it's going to go on the very end like that. So that's what you got in your image there. Then you go to stage 3. We want a 2-hole plate. So we've got a 2-hole plate and a blue pin with axle. Blue pin with axle is going to go into the end of the 2-hole plate. Then the pin is going to go in next to the plate, the 5-hole plate that we put in. So that blue pin is going to go into the bed, and the black pin from the bed is going to go into the plate. Blimey. And give it a bit of a wiggle. One side's in. Yeah, there you go. Like that. So that's your diagram right there. Next one is a 7-hole plate by the looks of things. Is that 7-hole? That looks like a 7-hole plate. 7-hole plate. And that's going to go flush with the end of this 2-hole plate. Like so. So you see it's flush on the end there, and it's flush on the end there. Next part we're going to do is we're going to put the red axle on the end there. Put your thumb behind the red axle. Get your 2 small axle hole plate. Attach that to the red axle, keeping your thumb still behind because you're putting 2 behind it. I'm actually putting it the wrong way. So it's dangling down are these plates. As you can see there on the diagram. 2 of them are dangling down like that. And then this is going to locate on the front. So this is going to be the big bucket arm. Right, so this axle hole here is going to go on this 7 axle here. Just go push it through a little bit. Like so. Because then this is going to control the pitch of that. So we've got to build another one of those. But first we're doing some sort of framework. So tan light tan pin with axle, very similar to the blue, except for one's friction, one's frictionless. Tan is frictionless, so it's going to make and allow movement. So you got your yellow bushing on top, one whole axle plate on top of that. So you got that, just like that diagram there. And then we've got a red 2 axle going on the other side of it. So it's like that. So you kind of got a crank handle. A 5-hole plate. It's going to go on the very end of the 5-hole plate. That axle is going to go through. It's not going to hold, so you need to put something behind it. And what's going to go behind it is a long connector. That's going to go on there. And then basically reverse. So 5 long plate. We need a red axle in the connector first, just to connect that. Extend it. Then the 5-hole plate, and then the 2-hole, the 1-hole with the axles, like that. And then we're putting, instead of a pin, the frictionless pin, we are putting in a 3-axle in the end, followed by, put your thumb behind the 3-axle, followed by the short yellow bushing. Smooth out the axle like that, and that's that image there. And this is going to attach to, so this looks like it's going to attach to the head of the bed, the headboard. See that bed there? So this is going to attach to that like so, and as you can see, it's frictionless, so it's allowing a lot of movement, whereas the black pin would hold it in place. I mean, you could still move it, but it would have quite a bit of resistance behind it. And then we're building the other arms. So bed, 3 black pins, 1 in the front, 1 at the foot of the bed, 1 at the elbow of the bed, and 1 next to that one there. So it's like that. Then you got your 5-hole plates. It's going to go on the end of those last 2 black pins, like so. And then you've got your 2-hole plate with the axle holes on either side. Blue pin with axle is going in from the back. So it's like that. So that pin is going to go into the bed. Like, I had trouble with this last time. Like that, and then just push it in place. So you should have that, which is this diagram here. Then you get your 7-hole plate. Again, it's going to be flush on this side here. So it's not overhanging, it's nice and flush there, just like it is in the image there. And then we're going to turn it around, because you can see it says there, turn it around. We're going to build on here. We're going to put the red axle through here. Put your finger, thumb behind the axle, behind that hole there, just to stop that axle going all the way through. Keep your finger or thumb behind it. Grab your 2-hole Technic plate. Have it dangling down like so. And your second one, that's finger is just stopping the axle from dropping through. And then you're going to place this on the end of the 7 axle on the other side. And this, the head of the bed, is going to go onto that 3 axle there. So a little bit of lining up. Get that head of the bed in first because it's a longer axle. And then just push home that 7 axle there. Perfect. And next we got a moon gear on the end of this side, which is why it was an axle. So put a moon gear on the end of that. I'll put my finger behind the axle. So it's going to be moving that. It actually says move it up. Okay. And then we got the bucket, right? So 7 long axle, long bush in, and it's going to go right to the end of the axle. And then you're going to have the bucket with the teeth at the bottom. You're going to line up the bottom holes of the bucket with this part here, the longer arms. You've got 2 different ones. You just got to push those out of the way so you don't get that confused. Line up the bottom of the bottom holes of the bucket with this arm here. Push the axle all the way through. Lock that axle in place with another long bushing, like so. Now it's in place. And the next part is to move the arm back down. These are going to be connected to the top hole of the bucket, so if it's not extended long enough it won't reach. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use these there's 2 of these long short grey pins, and they're going to go in from the bucket side like that, and then you can just line up the last hole of the 5-hole plate like that with the pin, push it through, and it will find and connect. Same on the other side. It's a little bit fiddly. It's probably the fiddliest part of the job. Again, line it up, snap it in, and as you can see, your bucket now has control. Alright, now we're going to attach the wheels. And there's 2 ways of doing these wheels, which are really cool. I like these rims. These rims are pretty cool universal wise. As you can see, you've got, get this tyre nicely lined up first. As you can see, you've got racing kind of 5-spoke wheels on one side. On the other side, you can see inside it looks like brake pad or caliper. No, brake. Yeah, it will look like a brake pad or something like that, or industrial wheels. And that's the way this is going to face. So we're not having the racing wheels, but we are going to have the industrial wheels. And that's what I like about these rims. They have 2 different faces, which is really cool. Got a little bit of universal use in them. So I'm going to push these through. These can be a little bit awkward because they're quite an odd shape. They really are quite an odd shape, but they're actually the right shape for the diggers and stuff. Push them through. Doesn't matter which way you push them through, whatever's comfortable for you. Just get them all, pull them out a little bit, just kind of get them all lined up. Last one, because what is going to matter is how you're going to put them on. Like I say, we're not having the racing wheels facing, but it's good part usage because it's actually giving it a second or multiple use instead of it just being typecast as racing wheels. So there you go. And then we're going to put the racing wheels inside, so that you got the industrial. Oh yeah, put your finger on the end of the axle, so that it, when you, even though it's secured in place with the bushing, your wheel could push the axle through. So put your finger behind the axle, push the wheel on, you're good. This one you don't need to because it's being held in by that black framework. Racing wheels inside, just push them on. Racing wheels inside, push them on. And then just to add a little bit of detail to it, which is really cool. You got your little yellow bushings here, and just go pop them on the end like hubcaps, and then you get your digger effect wheel, which is really cool. I like that. Pop that on. And pop that on. Oh, that one didn't want to go. Pop that one on. Get it lined up. Doesn't want to line up. Try again. There we go, got it. And there you go. There you have it. It's the mini backhoe. I'll move these spare parts out of the way, because those are going to be for the forklift. So you got hand of God steering right there. So I'm going to lift that up a bit. There we go. Hand of God steering. Then you got the arm to lift up, bucket to dump, pick up, lowering the arm, lower the bucket, scoop up the stuff, bring up your bucket, raise the bucket, raise the arm. Then you got lowering the rear arm and extending the bucket. And don't forget you've got the teeth that control that back bucket as well, so you get a little bit more precision. So you got nice little reach there. Scoop it up, lift it up, keep your stuff in your bucket, tip it out, and away you go. It's a really cool set, to be honest with you. It's one of those sets that I've enjoyed building out of the Technic lot from this year, this particular year of release. Done a few now, and this is probably the most interesting one for me, with all the little functions. But there you go, folks. Just gonna switch to the right camera. If you enjoyed what you saw and you want to see more, please hit the like and subscribe, hit the notification, because then you definitely will see more Lego builds, not just Technic. We do all sorts of things. We've got Lego, you name it, I build it. We've got mystery build going on, as well as we've got some pure builds going on. We've got some instructional builds going on. Yeah, we got our live streams, as you can see. Just give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. If you didn't like it, leave a comment. If you did like it, leave a comment. Please be honest. I appreciate all honesty, and I love comments. I love comments, so please don't be shy. We got about 200 subscribers. 200 subscribers now. Gosh, why is that a tongue twister for me? 200 subscribers to the channel, which is awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I do have like a New Year's resolution, or a goal. Let's say it's a goal. I want to double that for next year. So we're looking for 400 subscribers to the end of this end of next year, 2023. That would be cool. That would be really cool. So if you guys could help us with that, that would be awesome. Like I say, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, comments, and like and subscribe, and hit that notification buzzery type thing, because then you'll know that I'm on. Till next time, folks, I'm Sean from BRIT'N. Peace.